Hello, I'm Derek Pryor from Resulting, and today I'm in the Resulting STEM studio. Originally a chemical engineer, moving on into industrial automation and then SAP business applications. I spent nearly 20 years at Gartner as an analyst, and I focused exclusively on SAP research and advice for SAP customers. And today I have the real pleasure of talking to Nick Coburn, Delivery Director at Resulting, about the importance of the business case when implementing SAP. Now, when at Gartner, Nick, talking to SAP customers, it's always pretty obvious that just being on time, on budget, and having very happy end users for an SAP implementation, that's good, but it's not enough. Haven't we got to be on value? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a good point, Derek, and that's not really typically what a business case is all about. So I think it's clear that every SAP program or project has a business case or starts out with a business case. Normally they don't get the sponsorship and get off the ground without them. How many programs or projects have a really robust business case that's meaningful? Unfortunately, probably not enough. And how many business cases are really reviewed and looked back on 3 or 4 years after go live? Because typically when you prepare a business case, it's not to take you live. It's around the benefit and value realization some 3, 4 or 5 years after the initial implementation. Far too frequently, the business case is lost early on. It gets written once and it never sees the light of day again. Organizations that do this really, really well have, I guess, what we would call an embedded business case. And it lives both throughout the lifetime of the program, but into post-go live and out into the business organization itself. The key to a good business case is having the right sponsorship and accountability from day one. So having people who are senior enough in the business to sponsor the business case in the early days and then take it and own accountability for it after you've gone live. So to support that, you've got to have robust performance measures and KPIs. That's typically the lifeblood of the business case. And you've got to be bold enough to go back and review that business case throughout the lifetime of the program. Again, organizations that do that well will effectively test the business case at every stage gate. So moving from design, that's probably the most important one, moving from design into build. So we thought we were going to spend X, and now we've done our design and it looks like the cost of build is going to be Y. Is this program still worth doing? Very few organizations do that. Those that do it well do that at every stage gate. It's a really good habit to get into. And then once you've gone live, there should be, around that governance model, is understanding the time frame upon which the business case is going to be reviewed on an ongoing basis. Again, organizations that do this well will typically have something like a process owner structure, global process owner, a GPO, and they'll take accountability for the business case in each of their areas. And it should form something, should be part of their end-to-end roadmap. And every time you add something into your roadmap, the justification should go back to the original business case. And they also take accountability for those metrics and really driving the benefit and value.
I like the sound of that. I like the sound of that, Nick, because the number of times speaking to SAP customers, frankly, they haven't done that. They compile the business case, it gets put on the shelf after it gets acceptance, and people don't go back and measure the value. So I like exactly what you're saying. Accountability, again, do you think accountability has got to come down to individuals have to be named and held responsible? What happens when a key manager moves on? Is that an issue, do you think?
It should be role-based, but yeah, there should be named accountability, so it should be a role within the business. The key point there is having the linkage between when the original business case was set and how it gets managed and reviewed going forward. Far too frequently, I think business cases are written in the early days, very much on the positive. People want to go and do this project. They want it to be approved. And unfortunately, that means that sometimes a business is not necessarily honest enough about the potential pitfalls or about really how realistic it is that you are going to achieve that cost saving, or those benefits, or realise that value from the program. Sometimes people, I guess, gerrymander the figures to give you the right answer, to get it through the approval board. And if you start out with that's not a robust foundation for your business case. It's not a great way to run the business. Having those key accountable people in to actually define the business case, write the business case, and take accountability for it going forward all the way through, as we said, into go live and beyond is the right thing to do. And yeah, those roles should have that accountability. And if somebody leaves, the next person into the role assumes the accountability. And I think if I went into that role, if I joined an organisation, the very first thing I'd do is say, well, can I have a look at the business case? I'd want to make sure it is up to date, and the numbers that I'm looking for this year and those KPIs are still relevant and have been refreshed and are up to date.
Well, thank you very much, Nick. You've covered so much ground there. If we could bottle everything which you've done, and if everybody could be genuinely accountable for their business case, to keep reviewing the business case, as you said, to understand what the key performance indicators right the way throughout the life cycle, whenever there's a new project. If only we could do all of that, I'm sure we would be more successful in helping customers to achieve much more business value. So thank you very much for that. I'm sure that will be of enormous benefit for our clients, and will be reflected in our SAP Success Diagnostic.